Hello everyone, I'm Mbah Jonathan, and this is the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. In our top stories, at least 7 persons dead in a road accident on the road linking Nkambe and the northwest regional chief town, Bamenda. They died in an accident involving a high-speeding military truck and a motorcycle. We shall be bringing to you details in this newscast. And Sisiku Ayuk Tabe and his collaborators arrested in the Federal Republic of Nigeria and deported to Cameroon and detained at the State Defense Secretariat in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, have met lawyers for the first time since they were incarcerated months ago. Thanks for staying with us. Ambazonian leaders Sisiku Ayuk Tabe and 46 others who were arrested in the Federal Republic of Nigeria and deported to the Republic of Cameroon and have been under detention at the State Defense Secretariat in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, have for the first time received lawyers, and that was over the weekend, and they were deported to the country by elements of the National Defense Forces. That was early January, and this year, that was early January this year, they were detained, of course, at the State Defense Secretariat in Yaoundé, and have since been detained incommunicado. And this is, of course, a way for the government of the Republic of Cameroon to prove that the Ambazonian leaders are still alive, as questions had been arising from all quarters demanding to know what is happening to the detainees or the leaders of the Ambazonian struggle. It is the first time, of course, and the first group of persons visiting Ayuk, Sisiku, Tabe and Co. ever since they were detained. And of course, we shall be giving you greater details concerning this in our subsequent news editions. A road accident regional capital Bamenda has left at least 7 persons dead. The accident involved a high-speeding military truck and a motorcycle. A truck of the Rapid Intervention Battalion that left Nkambe heading to the northwest regional capital Bamenda at a breakneck speed bumped into a motorcycle with 3 persons on board, and the 3 persons died on the spot. The accident occurred on the sub-hill, and the 3 persons on board the motorcycle and 3 army officers died on the spot. A 4th officer died later in the Jakiri District Hospital, and 11 army officers were equally injured, seriously injured. In that accident, the soldiers were heading to the regional capital Bamenda for a reinforcement mission, and the mission was simply aborted as their truck was damaged beyond repair. And at least 40 internally displaced persons in the northwest regional chief town, Bamenda, have received material aid from the Bamenda 3 Council. The package comprises of food items and other basic needs, as Stella Mbah reports from Bamenda.
Some internally displaced persons in Bamenda have received donations from the Bamenda 3 Council. The mayor of Ongu Cletus, with some councillors of his municipality, have paid a visit to these residents where internally displaced persons are currently seeking for refuge. They brought mattresses, blankets, bags of rice, cooking oil and corn to assist in the welfare of the victims. This is the first time these displaced persons are receiving aid from a local authority. This comes shortly after a team of reporters from Equinoxe television visited this home and presented the precarious situation under which they have been living.
Initially, when they were here, the communication was a little bit poor because the council was not aware of their presence here. But when it eventually came to our knowledge, we already started the campaign to encourage groups and women groups, youth groups and so on to come with their support. And from next week, many churches will also be coming in with support to this, particularly the children and the women that have been displaced, not because of their own making, but because of circumstances.
These over 40 displaced persons, mostly women and children, have been staying under the care of Mama Mata Tender for over 4 months now. They fled their homes in Ambo and Angi villages in Batibo subdivision following military brutality. Since then, the residents of Mama Mata has been a safer haven for them. Although they have a roof over their heads, their greatest wish is for normalcy to return. We are pleading for those people to go so we can freely get to our villages.
We will feel free. We'll go back to our house.
Soldiers are shooting and killing us. They killed my brother's child and dumped the corpse to rot as we ran for safety. This gesture made by the Bamenda Tiwi Council was much welcomed by the women and children. They, however, begged on more support to keep them going till they are able to return to their homes.
A natural disaster has forced several inhabitants of Lokbesu here in the economic capital Douala to abandon their homes. They have been living under the threat of the natural disaster that has given them sleepless nights for quite a long period of time, and they are calling on authorities to help them rescue them from the impending doom. They have, however, fled their homes as a result of the impending danger, as For Me Armstrong Sander reports.
This gorge, more than 15 meters deep, is what has become a nightmare to the inhabitants of Mikat and Ikol Jusole neighborhood of Lokbesu, Douala 3 subdivision. They spent sleepless nights as the gorge, which has already buried a good number of houses and 3 farmlands on a surface area of 500 meters square each, is rapidly extending to the few surrounding houses. Most inhabitants have simply abandoned their houses, which are now buried in the mud. Residents say some of these houses, which are now buried by the huge mass of soil, were story buildings. This huge soil deposited at this level is caused by erosion and landslides from the gorge, which is increasingly being eroded by rainwater. The inhabitants say they were without this problem before the construction of the road linking Lokpom to Peka Katos through Lokbesu, which they believe is the root cause to the current problem.
When I came here, there was nothing here. There was just a small water that was passing here. That was a very big farm. There was a pawpaw that they was cultivating. Myself, I was cultivating there. And we kept leaves there. There was nothing like a gutter. So after some time, when these people came, they start arranging this road. Then they send the water this way. That is when the gutter started digging. They start digging. Then there was much water. Water from Lokbesu, water from Katos. All is passing there through this way. That's why the place is digging like this up to this moment.
According to Mr. Tatang, they collectively addressed their worry to the municipal and administrative authorities, who did not react immediately to stop the situation from worsening. Beyond the material damage, these people are psychologically troubled.
Some of the tenants, they have gone out because they cannot stay there. You see the house now, very soon it will reach the gate. And we already pack our loads because we are afraid that the thing will break. That's why we are just staying there in fear. Yes, we cannot sleep. Even when the rain is falling, we cannot even sleep the whole night.
However, trucks from the Douala City Council have begun filling the deep gorge with stones.
Syria and the economic capital from Lokbesu to Ndobo, where inhabitants are equally suffering as a result of constant floods, especially during heavy rains, and this is because of the absence of drainage patterns in that neighborhood. Franklin Mwabe reports.
This is the Deziemeglis neighborhood, Ndobo of Douala 4. The lack of gutters and drainage patterns permits water to occupy paths leading to people's houses. The runoffs also destroy the roads, causing depressions at the center of the road. When it rains, runoffs overflows into the main roads due to the absence of drainage patterns. When it rains, water blocks the main roads. If someone is sick, to transport the person to the hospital is very difficult. Children use damaged fridge as canoe to sail across their houses because of the lake formed due to the absence of a drainage canal.
Yes, I've been staying in this quarter for more than 15 years. Yes, what is surprising us here is that we don't know whether the mayor of the Douala 4 council knows that there's a quarter called Des Églises Ndobo. My brother, you yourself look at the road. We don't have any road here. Gutters, they don't clean the gutters. People are staying inside waters. The gutters, we don't even know.
Another problem faced by the inhabitants of Dobo is that the streets are littered with stinking dirt.
They put dirty in there, is that can go pass and they carry up. Would they just any man he just come out and throw away dirty any side?
This lady says the dirt collection company, Izakam, has not been passing in this neighborhood because of the bad state of the roads. Hence, people have resorted in indiscriminate waste disposals.
Water all side for road.
The standing water and stinking death expose inhabitants to diseases.
You see, children, many people are sick today because of these things. If somebody is not sound now, you will see we don't have means of going out. We don't have routes. We don't have anything. Nothing can pass.
Amidst all these difficulties faced, the people of Ndobo are calling on the government to see into their deplorable condition and bring a lasting solution.
Cameroon's Minister of Transport Jean-Ernest Massinangare Bibehe has instructed authorities of the Douala Seaport to work hard or step up efforts to deal with inefficiencies hindering the smooth functioning of that maritime transport institution. And of course, he was speaking during a working visit here in Douala. We have details in this report.
The Douala Seaport is a strategic maritime transport amenity in the Central African sub-region, with landlocked countries like the Central African Republic and Chad depending on it. Close to 95% of maritime and trade activities in Cameroon go through the seaport. However, the Douala Seaport is plagued by several inefficiencies. One of them concerns infrastructures that have been fading out of capacity over the years.
Ces installations portuaires ont atteint la fin de leur cycle de vie normal.
The lifespan of the infrastructures have elapsed while transactions continue increasing to over 12 million tons of goods per year.
12 millions de tonnes.
And this is why Transport Minister Ernest Massinangare Bibehe, on a working visit to Douala, urged the seaport authorities to step up efforts geared towards upgrading services for a more fluid import and export activities.
Port autonome de Douala et le corridor national doivent reformer.
The Douala Port Authority has to reform and modernize its activities in all domains: anchoring of ships, loading and offloading of ships, storing of goods, procedures, infrastructures, transport, security, and so on.
Sécurité et j'en passe.
Le port autonome de Douala, dans le cadre de ces missions, a obtenu le feu vert du gouvernement.
The Douala Port Authority has received the green light of government to immediately undertake all actions to turn the tides concerning depreciating port infrastructures. The Director General of the Douala Seaport and his collaborators are also expected to enhance collaboration with the Kribi Port Authority.
Je demande à Monsieur le Directeur Général.
I asked the Director General to finalize, in consultation with the Kribi Port Authority, studies on the creation of a national transport company between the two seaports.
entre les ports de Kribi et de Douala.
Efforts have been on the way to transform and develop the Douala seaport since 2017.
Hundreds of African migrants have seen their hopes of reaching Europe for greener pastures dashed. Some of them died at sea, while others were rescued by the Libyan Coast Guards and sent back home yesterday. Katsi, Euronews.
Nearly 1,000 migrants were rescued on Sunday by the Libyan Coast Guard and 10 bodies were recovered from the sea, mostly from sub-Saharan Africa. The 948 migrants had taken to sea in 3 inflatable boats with hopes of reaching Europe. Since last week, almost 2,000 migrants have been brought back to Libya. Most of them try to head across the Mediterranean towards Italy, hoping they'll be picked up by ships run by aid groups and taken there. But Italy's new anti-immigrant government is refusing to allow the rescue ships to dock at its ports. And Italy's new interior minister was due in Libya's capital on Monday after attending an EU summit on migration over the weekend. No formal statement was issued after the summit, suggesting little progress was made.
Coming up, the smart side of the World Cup. Thanks for staying with us into the smart side of the ongoing 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia. Manjikan Gebre, you're welcome.
Yeah, Babila, good evening.
African champions 7 times, Egypt returns hope from the 2018 FIFA World Cup with nothing.
You're right. The Pharaohs of Egypt, they were vice champions in Africa. You know, they were beaten by Cameroon, the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, at the finals of the African Nations Cup in Gabon. They are returning back home. They had the last match today. It should be noted that the Pharaohs of Egypt began the match very well, very powerfully, with Mohamed Salah being the first man to hit the goal, and of course he gave Egypt the first goal of that encounter. But the joy of the Egyptians, the Pharaohs, became at least slim after their man. It should be noted that El Hadari, who was a goalkeeper today, actually saved a penalty for the Pharaohs of Egypt, and of course that was a great one. But before halftime, Saudi Arabian side scored to equalize 1-1. They came back in the second half, both sides, Egypt and of course Saudi Arabia. They had different opportunities of scoring, but at the tail end, it was Saudi Arabia that went home happy. Egypt, very sad, as you could see from the picture of Mohamed Salah. So final score, it was 2 for Saudi Arabia and 1 for Egypt, implying Egypt leaves the tournament without a single point. Remember, Russia beat them. We had also Uruguay that beat them, and also now Saudi Arabia that finally gave them the last thrashing of the day. So they ended up with no points. But one person might be going home happy, though maybe the performance of the country is not good.
And that's Mohamed Salah.
Mohamed Salah, at least he has 2 goals in the competition and would have even scored 3 goals. Unfortunately, he couldn't get that goal today. So Mohamed Salah is going back home with 2 goals, but a very poor performance with the Pharaohs of Egypt. Remember, he played just 2 games, 2 goals, so it's good. He's a good man, yeah.
All right.
And within the Egypt's rank, we're talking about the man who created record today. It is the goalkeeper. They call him Essam El Hadari. He became the oldest player to feature in a World Cup competition. He is today 45 years and 5 months. So he created record of becoming the oldest player to be part of a World Cup game. So it was a great day for him. In Russia, he saved a penalty even though he could not help his side to grab all 3 points of the day. Now,
that should indicate that he is more than 40 years old.
That's why I'm saying that he's 45 years plus 5 months, and on that picture you could see 161 days, that is plus 5 months. So he became a record man inside the World Cup playing the game today.
Now we take a look at the Russia-Uruguay encounter.
Russia-Uruguay encounter was a great one too, and of course I want to tell you that the Uruguayans of Diego, Luis Suarez, and of course Forlan, they came out so powerfully, and the first thing was that a red card was given to the opponents of the day, Russia, so they were playing 11 against 10, and the penalty given was transformed by Luis Suarez, who scored that penalty, and after that we had an own goal from Cheryshev, who has been the key man of of Russia this far, before Forlan also came in to give the third goal for Uruguay. So at the end of the day, it was Uruguay that defeated Russia by 3-0, implying Uruguay has qualified to the next stage of the competition without conceding a single goal. Babila, I want to tell you that in 5 matches, maybe our technician will take us straight away to the record of Uruguay. In 3 matches that they have played, they have gathered all 9 points. They have conceded no goal, and of course they became one of the teams that everyone needs to look. Now you see Uruguay against Egypt 1-0, against Saudi Arabia 1-0, Russia 3-0. They are record people there. Now let us take you straight away to the table of Group A to tell you that it is very clear on the classification table of League A of Group A. We have Uruguay that tops that group with 9 points, and of course inside that 9 points they scored 5 goals, they didn't concede any. And the second is Russia with 6 points, and of course Saudi Arabia that won today came on the 3rd spot with 3 points, and Egypt is heading back home without any goal, and I want to tell you they conceded a total of 6 goals in the competition. And just for us to tell you that after this game we are going to have other matches that will be coming up simultaneously. That is in Group B. We have Iran that will confront Portugal, and of course in another game we'll have Spain to take on Morocco. The deal with Iran and Portugal: a win for Iran and a defeat for Spain will see Iran, or a win for Iran over Portugal, and Spain beating Morocco. We see Portugal being eliminated, but we are not talking about that. So those are the 2 fixtures coming up. Over the weekend, we saw African countries that were up in Group H. Senegal and Japan played a 2-2 draw, and of course it was a match that Senegal could have actually managed to get their qualification direct, but they need to play against Colombia on their last playing day. In that group, we have the classification table of that group straight away to tell you that in that group is very tight. We have Japan on 4 points plus 1 goal, Senegal 4 points plus 1 goal, and at the bottom and eliminated already is Poland, and it should be noted down the last playing day. Senegal will have a tough match to play against Colombia, and they must beat Colombia for them to qualify, because they don't know what will happen between Japan and Poland. And
now we're going to talk about another African side. Yes. Tunisia by Belgium.
Tunisia beaten by Belgium, and of course it was the largest defeat an African side this far has gotten in the World Cup. Tunisia were laminated by Belgium of Eden Hazard and the Lukaku's, and of course Batshuayi, 5-2, and I want to tell you it was a good game for the Belgium side that actually trounced their opponents of the day. And the group on that group, it is very clear Tunisia also joined the likes of Egypt and of course Morocco to be eliminated, because at the end of the day you see Tunisia, they have no point, just like Panama that were beaten by England 6-1, and of course we have Belgium on 6 points. And you want to look at the goal difference, all of them are on plus 6 points. Now there's a trick in this game on the last playing day, Babylon, just for us to make our listeners to know that if England and Belgium play a draw against on the last playing day, they play a draw, and within the match England gets a card, then Belgium will go first of the group. If because for now we have all of them on 6 points, so if Belgium has a yellow card or England, they are going to do a ballot, and that ballot will decide who should go on top. That is if they draw their game. But if there is a victor on the field, somebody wins, it's very clear that person will go straight away to the top of the table. But if it is a draw and a player has a yellow card, they are going to do some toasting there before we know who is going to be qualifying for the next stage. Maybe
now the classification table of Group G.
We already have that, Babila. We already have that on that table. Maybe the last information or last bit one information we have is this guy. He is the head coach of Argentina. Remember, Argentina, they have a very tough duel against the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and it's a must win for them, just like a must win too for Argentina. And Argentina, they have decided to keep away their coach. They are going to do the selection themselves ahead of tomorrow's game against Nigeria. They have been so disappointed with their coach. So they say this far their coach has not done anything. Now the Golden Boots, who is top? Harry Kane. He scored a hat-trick over the weekend. He climbs up with 5 goals. Romelu Lukaku, Cristiano Ronaldo, all with 4 goals. Maybe Cristiano can increase his goal tally today, and maybe Diogo Costa can add more goals this evening. Now, in the other way round, they have shown us, represented us with what is happening in terms of cartoon. That is the last one. You will see Harry Kane running, and behind you see Lionel Messi that is heading by the opposite direction. So this is the classification of the goals in terms of cartoon as it was drawn. Lionel Messi is going the opposite side, the others are going in front. Harry Kane, you see him, you have Cristiano Ronaldo, Lukaku, and the rest, all of them there. So the fixtures this evening already, just to note that up next we are going to have Iran that will take on Portugal, and Spain will take on Morocco. Tomorrow, another African side might be staying in Russia or being eliminated. That is Argentina versus Nigeria. It's a tough match that no one wants to miss.
Thanks a bunch, Magic and Gabriel. That was the smart side of the Russia FIFA 2018 World Cup. Coming up next, Talking Point. Thanks for joining us in Talking Points. We're receiving Tatang Mbah. He is a member of the civil society and resides in the Northwest Regional Capital, Bamenda. Tatang, you're welcome to the news.
Thank you very much, and a happy evening to all your audience.
You're coming from the Northwest region of the country, hit by socio-political crisis for more than 2 years today. Could you just share with us your experience, your daily experience concerning how life is unfolding? Things have become not as usual in Bamenda and other parts of the Northwest region.
Sure, things are very unusual in the Northwest region, in particular, and its chief town Bamenda, where we are living a very precarious life. What do I mean by precarious? I mean, when you get up, you can only trust God for survival. That is, you're going out, you need to commit your life to God, because as you go out, you don't know what lies ahead of you. You don't know what can happen. That's what we mean. But by the grace of God, we are surviving.
An atmosphere of uncertainty and fear.
Serious, I would say, adverse uncertainty and serious fear, because at any time you can get shootings from either side, and you can't be able, sometimes you are trapped in between the two sides, and it needs just the intervention of God to set you free.
And you're a student of post-colonial literature in the University of Bamenda, situated in Bambili, which is one of the areas in the Northwest region highly affected by this crisis. Gunshots here and there every day.
Sure, Babila, Jonathan. We are a student. I'm a student, I want to say, but you understand that we are being students of the state of the art. That is, students who are able to adapt themselves to a war-torn region, I dare say, war-torn environment. That is, as you go to school, you are psychologically prepared. You know, first and foremost, you don't need to be studying in a tense environment, but you're prepared that anything can happen at any time.
And how do you manage to cope in this kind of environment to carry on with your academic activities, your studies, your research on campus, from home to campus and back, and so on?
It's pathetic. Sometimes you are in school and you hear if a friend tell you, or someone who is concerned tells you, don't come to town, stay in school. Or you're in class and you're hearing gunshots around. You just need to prepare yourself, given that you must make it and given that you want to succeed. You know that determination drives you forward. But there are some times that the fear and the uncertainty keeps you behind, especially on days that you can foresee, because we live with a lot of discernment. When you can foresee that it's not going to be very friendly tomorrow, you decide to forgo the class, and sometimes you go and you are psychologically traumatized.
And this has seriously and adversely affected academic activities in the University of Bamenda and other schools within the region.
I want to talk about other schools within the region, because we are living, we have younger ones and we have friends too in the quarter. And I dare tell you, seriously, you know, the Northwest region in particular, it's that the industry of the Northwest region in particular is the academic sector, and it's been terribly hit by this ongoing socio-political tension between the two factions. So the region is actually tense, and many people will not for any reason risk sending their children to school under such atmosphere, and some have to take the risk of being the bodyguard for their kids, that at any slightest moment they may be the ones to rescue their kids. You can imagine that type of a scenario.
And there are many persons who have fled their homes because of the crisis and are now living in other places that are a little bit safe, or where the tension is not that high. We just heard in the report by Stellambu in Bamenda about 40 displaced persons, internally displaced persons who receive aid from the Bamenda City Council, or rather the Bamenda 3 Council. And now the government has put in place an emergency humanitarian plan to assist such people in the northwest, in the southwest, and those in neighboring Nigeria. What's your take on this initiative by government?
It's a very good initiative by government, but I think there's a problem with the timing. The timing is not very good enough for such a good initiative. So if the timing was properly checked, because you said the area, some people have gone to some safe places in Bamenda, like Stellambu reported, but I want to tell you with all certainty and with all honesty that, to be candid, there's no safe place in Bamenda. So if there's no safe place, then this initiative is welcome. But the initiative would have been very laudable should we declare a ceasefire. That would be the most welcome news, that please, we're stopping fire today. How do you explain the fact that a humanitarian aid is coming amidst tense grounds? That's why I say it's a good initiative, but how are we sure that this initiative will be realized given the tension we are currently facing, given the threats, given the fear and uncertainty? So that's why, to me, it's a good initiative, but what would have been best would have been, please, a war was declared. I don't know by who. A war was declared, and please, can we stop the war today? And can we sit and dialogue? Can we sit and do some negotiations to see how peace can return? Then as peace returns, this is what we've collected, and to match what with actions. Please, this school was destroyed. Okay, let's build it. This house was destroyed. Let's build this house. These people have been displaced. Let's bring them back in. But how certain is the fact that these schools will be which have been destroyed will remain in the state in which they are presently? Some schools have been deserted, like the report has clearly shown. Now, when you go back constructing schools and go back constructing things when the fundamental core issues have not been settled, where are we heading? Where are we heading to? It is. I think it's high time we sit down and say, please, this is where there was a problem, and because there was a problem here, let us all think. Let us go this way. But it should not be everybody holding his or her own side and standing on it. People have been pushed. When your child is angry in the house, you talk to the child.
Are you saying that government is using this initiative for political gains?
I'm not in the side of the government, and I will not talk for them. I will not talk for them as such. But I want to say, to be very candid with you, it's not an appropriate solution as per this moment.
Bringing aid to people at the same time, some are being killed, some are arrested indiscriminately.
That's the point. So I don't know. It's like you're giving something and withdrawing it the next way. And I want to share in Honorable Weber's opinion that people are not dogs. To be candid, we should not legalize crime. This is criminality of a highest order. You should be able to apologize and able to tell people that you've wronged them. And because you've wronged these people, yes, let us do this. You know, from the word go, nobody has ever admitted that something was going on wrong there. There has never been an Anglophone problem. There's never been this. There's never been that. Everything is a lie. So who are we now aiding? Who are we aiding?
When you talk about legalizing crime, are you referring to the statement from the Ministry of Defense, which says that the military has the monopoly of legitimate violence?
That statement is inclusive, but when you when you tell people that you were doing just your work, and you have not destroyed any house, you've not done anything, then who are the people who are displaced? It's ironical that people have been displaced, and we have some people who are elites, and they tell us that they are representing people, but they go on air and say it is normal for their people to live in bushes. So are you now going to carry that aid to those people in the bush? Now, in fact, I'm confused. Who are we aiding? Terrorists and secessionists? No. Or we are aiding, who are we finally aiding?
Now, the government has opened up a little bit, so to speak, concerning the case of Sisiku Ayuktabe and the other Ambazonian leaders who were arrested in Nigeria and deported to Cameroon and had been detained at the State Defense Secretariat in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. They have met lawyers for the first time since they were arrested several months back. Do you think this is an indication that government is ready to solve this problem?
It's an indication that they are ready to solve the problem. You know, I'm not talking for the government, and I'm not competent to talk for the government. So I will not be able to answer that question the way you have me answer it.
Will this have any impact on the ground? You know, people have been clamoring. We want to see them. We want to know if they are alive or not.
I'm sure, yes, it's a good initiative that they have shown them that they are alive. Good. And some meaningful process will go on. And it will satisfy the many people who've been clamoring to see them. They have seen them. Okay, let's go ahead. But if we want to settle the matter...
We are yet to see them.
We saw videos tonight on Equinoxe. You showed it a while ago.
Yeah, that those were archive images. Okay. We are actually yet to see them.
So we wish to see them, like you're saying. The people who want to see them, their family members want to see them. All right, their family members want to see them. But we are thinking. I am of the opinion that if you said you want to dialogue with people, the way you want to dialogue with people is give them general amnesty. In fact, who is a true Cameroonian? A true Cameroonian is someone, to me, who sees that something is wrong, and I tell you something is wrong. So if I tell you something is wrong, and you arrest me, and you're charging me for terrorism, then I seem not to understand. So what are we saying? That these people, what is their crime? For saying that something is wrong, and for saying that there's need for a change, there's need to go back to the 1961 Constitution. But some ministers, the Secretary of Communication for the ruling CPDM party has said they are not excluding any discussion on federalism. But remember, some people were arrested and detained for federalism, for clamoring for federalism. So in fact, there's need for the definition of discourses in Cameroon. Honestly, let us be able to define discourse per context. We're talking about Vivre Ensemble. I watched on Equinoxe 2 weeks ago how they were about erecting the monument of Robin Umnyobe here in town, and some group of people who are also clamoring for Vivre Ensemble destroyed it or stopped the process. They were stopping. So, but nobody zoomed in on that. That is a problem. So why is it that the problem of the Northwest and Southwest region is more peculiar than other places? These are things that should not be tolerated in a democracy.
It's an indication that we are actually seeing one thing, but
doing another,
calling for living together, but
we are not practicing living together, because Douala is a cosmopolitan and metropolitan town.
And so it's the same thing with the authorities who have been calling for living together, who have been calling for unity, calling for national unity and so on.
Definitely.
But the call to restore that national unity is not being implemented. It's
not being seen, because Ruben Omnyobe is a Cameroonian, unless some people are telling us that they are not Cameroonians. And it would have been good for his monument to be here, but the Douala denizens, the authorities refused, and we are yet to hear a condemnation from authorities. And we are talking about Vivre Ensemble, so it's paradoxical.
All right, Tatang Mbah, member of the civil society and post-colonial literature student at the University of Bamenda. Thanks for joining us in this edition of the news.
I'm grateful for inviting us.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.